Welcome to the Gigless Podcast, a podcast showcasing the works and talents of those who lost their gigs during the COVID-19 pandemic. This podcast will feature a range of creatives from the tri-state area who are young visionaries and who contribute to their craft despite the recent events that have happened. Join us today as our host Remi Leibovic speaks with Jake Dillon, the multi-instrumentalist and singer from Pennsylvania. As a songwriter, Jake is deeply inspired by the works of Pink Floyd, experimental and slow ambient music, which can be heard in his music. In 2019, Jake released 2 tracks which can be found on his EP entitled Changes. Currently, Jake plays drums with the band 89 Astro Band and has since then released the EP Stripped Down in 2020. You can learn more about Jake and his other projects in the show notes of this episode. Enjoy.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Gigless, the podcast that is about documenting creatives in the tri-state area that have lost their gigs due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Remi Leibovic, and I'm here with my guest today, Jake Dillon.
How's it going, everybody? Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So, Jake, tell us about yourself.
So I am 23 years old, and I've been playing music for probably 5 years now. I started playing the drums in high school, and then moved on to playing more of the piano and guitar, but I've still played the drums in multiple bands, and right now I'm in a band called 89 Astro Band. But I also have a bunch of original music too.
Can you repeat that? 89 Astro?
89 Astro Band.
Great.
Like the car.
So what's that music like for people who haven't seen your show?
I would say it's mostly alternative indie rock, with a little bit of like psychedelic stuff in there. So, but not like completely just like, we definitely write some more like catchy songs and stuff. It's not just like jamming.
Absolutely. So who are you inspired by when you make your music? Because you say that you're a multi-instrumentalist. Who inspires you to be that way?
Let's see. I'm definitely inspired by Pink Floyd. I can't say I'm near the guitarist of David Gilmour, obviously. I don't think anyone is, but in terms of the style I write, I like to kind of write slower, ambient music with long instrumentals, kind of like Pink Floyd does, but I also incorporate, I'd say, a lot of elements of like Coldplay. I try to be very melodic and almost have a little bit of a pop influence from them, I would say. So it's kind of a weird combination of both.
Right. So let's get into the strawberry swing of things. Where has your craft taken you? Haha.
Well, let's see. Well, I have try to think of the best way to answer that question. I have 3 singles and an EP out. 2 of the singles are on that EP. But so I just started putting music on Spotify back in September. That's all my original stuff. And then I have we're about to have 2 EPs and like 3 singles out on Spotify for 89 Astro Band. And we had a bunch of gigs planned for this month, but obviously because of coronavirus, those got canceled, which stinks. But
Right.
It was going to be like our biggest month yet in terms of that.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank
So,
you. Yeah.
so what streaming platform for your music would you say is your best one yet? Like, what's the best reaction? Is it Spotify? Is it SoundCloud? Is it YouTube? Like, what's gotten the best reaction?
Definitely Spotify. I'd say
Right.
for my original music and for my band, we pretty much only pay attention to the Spotify analytics and everything. Our music is on all streaming platforms, but for the most part, people listen on Spotify, just from what
Right.
we've gathered.
Right, because they have the recommended, and you kind of can go down a rabbit hole of things that you like and discovering. So I would say that would be helpful. Right. So have you worked with any other local bands in the past, like big bands that you like? Who were some of the people that you were supposed to be doing the shows with?
Let's see. So we work a lot with our friends, the Space Gurus. So we played, let's see, 1 or 2 gigs at the same with them. and we were supposed to play with them at NJ Weedman's Joint, which is in Trenton. And it's like it's kind of a cannabis dispensary, and they also have a venue there. So we were supposed to play with them. I wouldn't say like any huge bands that anyone would recognize their names necessarily, again, because we just started in the fall. But we played at Bourbon and Branch, and we're trying to get in the Fire. We couldn't play there the one weekend, unfortunately, that we're supposed to. And some other venues around the Philly area that a lot of the local bands play. But mostly the Space Gurus is who we are trying to play gigs with. They're more like in the psychedelic realm of rock, but they're super good musicians. Definitely check them out also.
I definitely will. I just followed them on
Oh, nice.
Spotify.
Cool.
Yes. So would you say that you're Philadelphia based, South Jersey based?
Philly, definitely. We practice like right just outside of Northeast Philly. I don't know if you're familiar with that area. It's like right outside of Somerton, but yeah, definitely Philly. That's where we're looking to play gigs, Fishtown, like Kung Fu Necktie, places like that. And that's where we want to kind of establish a fan base.
I'm familiar with Kung Fu Necktie, yeah.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a gig, get a gig there too.
Yeah, it's definitely been difficult, and Philadelphia has, from what I understand, they have their own form of a lockdown. And yeah, no, it's definitely, COVID-19 has definitely affected all of the tri-state faster than it affected any other part of the country.
Oh
so right. So for people that don't usually see your gigs or aren't familiar with your work, what's a typical gig like for you guys? Do you guys play in a bar, or do you guys play in a concert hall? Like, what's your typical venue look like?
So I would say more of a concert hall is what we started like in the past few months to get into. But we started off playing in just kind of like bars where it's not like specifically a music venue. But we definitely, obviously prefer to play in like a concert hall where they sell tickets and everything, like a place like Bourbon and Branch. That's how we have like a whole video recap of that. It's really cool. It's on our YouTube.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah.
And I'll post the link in the show notes so that people can find you and follow you guys and see what your gigs look like, so that when everything comes back, they'll be excited to go to them again.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, how has COVID-19 affected you as a musician? Because you said that you lost all of these gigs, but, are you working with limited resources? Do you not have access to your studio? Like, what does it look like for you?
Yeah, so I don't have access to my studio, which really sucks. But honestly, because of, we'll probably talk more about this later, but like depleted financial resources, I wouldn't really be going in anyway, even if I could. But yeah, so I don't have my studio, but what that allows me to do is just kind of set up my keyboard and my guitar and just work on music. So it's definitely forced me to write like the skeleton of a bunch of songs. I just can't go in and record, which is hard sometimes when sometimes you need the drums and the bass and like good mixing, mastering and everything to like really feel like you know where you're going with a song. But either way, that's my writing process has kind of always been that way anyway, where I write on the piano, like the skeleton of the song. And then, yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that. I have a lot of like intros down for songs.
Right. And are you thinking about your band members? Like, are you missing them? Are you missing the interaction? Because I know that music is like, very much like, you play a note and then I'll play a note and then we'll see if it works. And like a lot of bands that I know, they start like that. So are you experiencing that loss?
Yeah, definitely. The last time we practiced was about a month ago. And that's a lot. That's hard to take when we were practicing almost twice a week consistently and for hours each time. I mean, sometimes like 3 or 4 hours. So that's been really hard. And now like our two guitarists and singers in Aiden and Astro band, they have been working very hard to record new material. They have the capability at their house. They have good recording softwares and mics and everything like that. So they've recorded a lot of material, but it's hard for them to envision like what the song could sound like if I was there giving input and everything. And it's just not the same if you try to like text and FaceTime. It's not the same. So it definitely affected the writing and recording process. And with us, like our plan this year was to put out a lot of music, like 4 EPs at least, just because we have all of the songs and we have a good deal with our recording guy and everything. So our studio guy. But yeah, it's put a lot of the recording process on hold, like actually trying to finish songs.
Right. And are you guys all from Philly, or are you guys out on the outskirts now? Have you guys had to like move back home? What's that been like?
So the two of the guys in my band are brothers, Dylan and Justin. Um, and so they live together in their house. And then Luke is our bassist. He's from Maryland. He moved up here for music. He knew a friend of a friend and somehow ended up meeting us. And yeah, and then I am from Philly, obviously moved to Charleston and then moved back here. But I found these guys through Instagram, and yeah, I'm just renting a room with an old coworker. I'm not living at home anymore, but thank God, honestly.
I know, I honestly feel you with that, because I know a bunch of people who just left New York City today, and they were just like, I can't take not being close to like family, or they moved back into their family's houses, or they moved in with friends because they were just with roommates. So, and I know that creatives are very sensitive to like who they're around with, like impacts their work. So that's why I was asking.
Definitely.
But right. And so, how has this shift changed your artwork, like your music?
Well, for one, I've definitely been writing songs and lyrics more about like isolation and quarantine and stuff. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily about me personally. Some of it is, but I like to make my songs more in a general sense about what's going on around me. So it's just more like observing and what I hear about other people and their quarantine experiences. That's definitely influencing my music and what I'm writing for sure. Probably even down to the sound, like a little bit eerie, a little less um like song structures I think are just going to be a little different from this time. I don't know. It's hard to describe, but I'm liking the stuff that I'm writing for sure.
That's good. At least like, you're enjoying your output.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I try to force myself to write a certain way, like almost more pop style, however you want to say it. But I just like, I don't know. That's actually harder for me to just write like a little catchy 4-chord song. Um, I like to write the more introspective, detailed, I guess. Yeah, sounding
Hey
song,
man,
kind of like Pink Floyd.
ride the spiral to the end.
That's how it feels. That's how it feels at times. If you tune into my live stream, you might at some point you'll probably hear that the one song I was really talking about quarantine. I'm excited to record that one, but I have to kind of wait till this is over.
Absolutely. And I would feel that, like, taking a more introspective look, I mean, you're writing about it. How do you feel about this? Like, how are you coping with it mentally and emotionally?
I'd say mentally and emotionally, I'm fine, but probably a lot of that has to do with the fact that I have my instruments to play. So
Mm-hmm.
like, um, I was at my house at the very beginning of this, and then um, because my roommate was immunocompromised, I was like, and I wasn't going to be able to see my girlfriend then. I wasn't going to be able to see my girlfriend. Sorry, I said that really fast.
It's okay.
I was like, I'll just go to her house and I'll at least have a space to like write and record, well, like voice memos, but you know what I mean. So yeah, my music has helped keep me sane for sure.
Right. I mean, that's the reality of the situation, is that everybody's spaces are just being changed, and everybody is having to go through like different adjustments. But it's, I'm happy that you're able to keep up with it, and you're, expressing yourself, and you're keeping that momentum to keep yourself busy.
Yeah, exactly. I like before this, and I'm sure it's true for a lot of people, but um, I was gone most days from the time I woke up till the time I went to bed. Just like
Right.
doing my normal day job, then going to band practice or teaching a couple lessons, because I did a bunch of stuff, and I will once we go back to normal life. But so I knew I was gonna have to fill my time in order to not go crazy during this time.
Right.
I've done that through music. The live stream every day usually kills about an hour, so, and it's really good practice for live performance. So,
and it keeps you on a schedule and a routine, which is what a lot of people are suggesting that people do, is like start a routine at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
Because there are so many unknowns already with quarantine and coronavirus and everything. Like, we still don't really know when things are going back to normal. So to at least know what your day looks like can provide a relief.
Right. Absolutely. So, you know, so you're writing new songs, you're looking into different, outlets. Is there another form that you're expressing yourself with, like another art form?
I wouldn't say, not necessarily. Like, I definitely appreciate like you were saying before, that you draw and you do graphic design and all that stuff. Like, I love looking at art like that. You know what I mean? Like, even that in a way is therapeutic. Um, I've been doing a lot of editing videos for like promoting our new EP. So I guess that's not quite just writing music and playing music. I'm trying to make cool little promo videos and stuff. So I guess that could be a way that I've been expressing myself also. But um, yeah, been playing a lot of guitar recently with like backing tracks, just trying to become better guitarist. But aside from music, not a ton.
Right. What do you find therapeutic about like looking at graphic design? This is just a personal question for me.
Man, it's a good question. That is hard to explain. It's really just the overall sense of like awe and wonder that I get from looking at some pieces. Like I was saying, that guy, Fados Art, he's the one who did my most recent album artwork. I mean, his stuff, like, it's almost like I can hear music. It sounds so weird to say, but when looking at his artwork, I would say that the piece that became my album artwork probably influenced in a way the song that I was writing, because of how they tied together, if that makes sense.
Right. This one artist, his name's Kandinsky. He was an artist that would listen to music and create artwork based on what he heard. So maybe you should like look into that, and definitely like maybe like make artwork to your music. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, or make music to artwork that I look at.
That's definitely, it could go either way.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I didn't even really put that together until you asked me that question, because I'd never been asked that question before. But it's cool. I mean, I think sometimes, like, just looking at a painting or a picture, a lot of people won't recognize like the amount of work and thought that went into that piece. Like, again, I just keep using this because it's fresh in my mind. But the artwork that I used for my single that came out, he spent at least 5 or 6 hours just on that alone. So, you know, that's much. I just feel like people don't realize how much time and effort and care goes into that.
Oh, absolutely. When you're making a logo for a band or just for anything, there's so many renditions that you have to go through. And then, with the drafts and the edits and the everything like that, and then working with the client, it's such a process to get to that last logo. And it's definitely interesting when you're with people who are creative but are not like designers. So like when you're working with a musician, like making their logo, like what are the things that they like? Okay, what do they like about this logo? Oh, they like that it's in script, or they like that it looks handwritten, or there's so many aspects and elements of design that go into creating that final output. And it's just so interesting to collaborate with other creatives that aren't designers when you're doing it.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. So to get back to our discussion, what is inspiring you now?
Question. I feel like I've been listening to a lot of the same music. Well, that's not necessarily true, but I've listened to a lot of the same music for years. And again, I keep coming back to Pink Floyd just because I love them. I love Pink Floyd so much. I think they were geniuses. But I recently I've gotten into Cage the Elephant, and I'd say they're helping influence me to write slightly differently. I think they do a good job of writing interesting songs that are not like pop songs at all, but they're also very catchy, which I like. That's what I aim to do. I guess that, so they've been influencing me in that way to be like catchy, but have it not just be like a simple pop song. And again, I feel like I sound like I'm knocking on pop. I think there's certainly an art to it, to writing a good pop song, but just in terms of like what I'm going for, I'd say Cage the Elephant has been influencing me a little bit. Maybe Rainbow Kitten Surprise. I don't know if you've heard of them.
No, let
Yeah,
me look
they're like an
in.
all indie band. You should definitely check them out. They're pretty big.
Michael Cera has his own band, and you know what? It sounds exactly like you would think Michael Cera's band would sound like.
Really?
Yeah.
You a singer?
Yeah,
Wow,
he
that's
is the singer.
crazy.
The name Rainbow Kitten Surprise. Okay, following them, and then Michael Cera's band. I was just listening to something by them.
I'll check
But
that out too.
yeah, no, definitely. So what is your plan for the future then? Like what are you hopeful for? Where do you think your projects are going to take you?
I'm hopeful, especially with our new material coming out with the 89 Astro van, that we can start getting some bigger gigs and maybe open for some bigger bands. Like I don't know if you've heard of Mellowtonin and the Humble. It'd be pretty cool to try to open for them. They're like an indie band that came out of Philly. Um, so that's definitely in the next year or two. We would love to do something like that again because we're putting out a lot of music, and I feel like this EP we have coming out Monday is like it's such a step up from what we just put out even a couple months ago. So um, yeah, I'm hoping that with that and with my original stuff, they're kind of separate, but whatever wherever it takes me, I'm just gonna keep trying to show people my music and hope they like it. And if they do, try to keep getting gigs and just keep growing an audience. I think for 89 Astrovan though, one of our main goals is by the end of the year to reach like 1,000 followers because we just made the Instagram page a few months ago and I think we're at over 400 now. So pretty
Ooh,
happy about that.
I'm definitely excited. So Michael Cera's band is The Long Goodbye.
Long Goodbye. The Long Goodbye.
I
Okay.
think it's The Long Goodbye. That's what it says on his. Yeah, that's what it says on the Wikipedia.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
and I'll send you anything else that I see. But yeah, and I think it's something else that he sings for. But he's like in two different bands, I guess. But anyway, yeah, my like low key obsession with indie movies. No, but that's great that that you're looking forward to the future and that you have some kind of plan. And what do you think as a musician? How do you think gigs are going to be affected by this? Like, what do you think that the gig's going to look like now?
Well, I guess what I hope for and what they will be, or maybe there may be different answers for both, but you know, I want to see an influx of people like you who are like who want to support local music and that there's just people coming out to local venues and everything and just supporting. Um, you know, after this time, we're all just so eager to play shows for people and just connect with people, because there's nothing better than playing live. There's just nothing. It's not about the money or anything else. Like it's just like that is just the euphoria of playing live. I hope that there's even an even bigger audience for local artists after this, and
Right. And
people want to get out.
yeah, people do want to get out. I mean, do you see yourself collaborating with more people once this is done? Like, have you met, a lot of people are saying, and I'm one of those people, have you met more people on by being like separated, have you met more people online than you would in person?
Yes. So quarantine has allowed me to really grow my Instagram page, and I feel that's the best way to market and to talk with people and fans is through Instagram. That's what I've found. So I've probably, again, it's not like about the numbers, but it just shows like that I've been meeting and talking to a lot more people. Like probably went up 200 followers in the past month just because of, people are doing like follow loops and stuff. So I've met and talked to so many other artists just on Instagram. It's been really cool. And I mean, that's how I found you. Was it through Instagram?
Yeah. Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So our Gigless Instagram, today is April 18th, but we started our Instagram like, about a month ago, and we have like 70 something followers. I think we're at 77 right now. We have like over 500 views on YouTube, and it's like, it's really hitting the ground and running. And I'm just so grateful for it, because more people are understanding and seeing the perspective of tri-state area creatives, and more people are learning about who's in their community. And, if you miss a gig, not only do you miss the band that's playing or the artists that are producing or the gallery that is going on, but you're missing like who's in your community. You're not being able to check and see like who's in your community.
Yeah, this is such a great tool. And it's awesome that you're doing this, Hopefully hopefully a lot of people who do podcasts are doing the same sort of thing. And, I'll definitely be posting about this and just telling people. I don't know if you guys are like backed up with people trying to get on the podcast or whatever, but I'll
send them. We'll make it work. Just send them. We have an open door policy. If you're a tri-state area creative and you've lost your gig, I don't care if you're a musician, artist, designer, drag queen, if you lost some kind of creative income because of this whole thing, you are welcome on this podcast.
Awesome. Well, that's amazing. I can think of like 5 just right now I could send your way. So
send them.
Yeah.
Send them. But yeah, no, it was great talking to you, Jake. It was really awesome to see your perspective and just hear like how you're finding your way through this. And I cannot wait to like listen to your psychedelic indie music.
Thank you so much. I hope that maybe you can tell me if that's my sound or not. Someone said it's like experimental soft rock. That's another good way to describe my music.
So many genres. It's just that there's so many genres of music. Like I can name 6 different types of metal genres right now off the bat. And it's like those even are subcategories of those genres. And it's like there are people, and what's crazy is there are people in universities, in academia, documenting all those genres.
And it's a good and a bad, I don't know. It's a good thing because you want people to be, I guess it allows you to target your audience better, but I want to just try to appeal to like a super wide audience, honestly. So I don't want to be in a cage. I think, especially some of the new music I'm working on, like some of it is a little more obscure and might lose some people. I don't know, but a lot of it's going to appeal to like a wider audience.
Yeah, I think that now, I think a lot more people are just taking the time to explore music a little bit more, because I'm very passionate about the bands that I like, and I find myself, having, more time to like look into new bands. And I've always listened to like bands that people have sent my way, but now with this whole thing, I just have so much more time to like really pause everything, sit back and listen to something. And I think that like, because on my normal day I would be like, all right, going, I gotta go pick up something, or I gotta go to the grocery store, let me put on like, the same 5 lists of songs.
That's cool though. Well, I have a Philly music like playlist that me and a bunch of friends just made, and I can also like send that your way just so you can check it out.
Yeah, we're gonna link it in the show notes.
Nice. Awesome.
So yeah. So that's the interview. Thank you so much again for being on Gigless.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And do you mind if I just say one more time, like just the name of some of the stuff I put out so people can find it.
Go ahead, and guess what? You're going to have your own show notes page, because I like, doing works cited. So everyone will be able to find all of your work on our website.
That is so awesome. I'm
Yes.
really excited about that. Well, I guess even though you're going to have that in there, might as well just say,
Go ahead.
my name is Jake Dillon, and you can find my music primarily on Spotify. I have an EP out called Changes. It came out in the fall. And then I just put out a single called Mountain. You can check both those out on Spotify. My band 89 Astro Van, like the car, 89 Astro Van. You can find also on all streaming platforms. We've got a bunch of music out. You can just go straight to our Spotify and find all of that. We got a new EP coming out Monday, but yeah, I'm pretty stoked about that.
I feel like I want to make a Spotify Gigless playlist with all the people that have been on Gigless. I think that's going to be my next project for the week.
Cool.
And just so
There
you
you go. Always thinking of something to keep you busy.
Follow. I hit follow. You can't see it with the green screen, but I hit follow.
My first follower. No, I'm just kidding.
73 monthly listeners. You're there.
Yep, I know. I've peaked.
All right. Well, thank you so much for peaking with us. This has been Gigless.
All right, thank you so much.
Dane, cut it out.
Thank you for listening to the Gigless podcast, hosted by Remi Leibovic and produced by Dane Wagner. The song used in our intro and outro is Beach Walk by Unicorn Heads. If you enjoyed this podcast, head over to our social media pages on Instagram at Gigless Podcast and our website, giglesspodcastblog.wordpress.com. There you can find out more about the artist, contact the host and producer, and find out more about our schedule. Thank you.